Okay, so Scott, you have me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
I don't know how many people we have online. I'm going off of my phone here tonight.
We've
Uh,
got 50, sir, and those 50 they've got friends.
okay, good, good. I mean, here's what we're trying to do. We are going to go on a relentless, persistent campaign across this country to raise the awareness of what is happening to children. We are going to go after my personal goal personally is to go after and expose the highest levels of our government who are involved in this. And there are people at the highest levels of our government that are directly involved in the various trafficking problems that we have across the country. What you've seen breaking lately is all of this stuff. I mean, just the sheer number of people being busted for child trafficking, pedophilia, with just the sickness, the disease of some of these people. We are also, as part of our efforts within the states, is we work with the legal side, the legislative side particularly, and we study the current laws and policies that are currently on the books in the states. And what we try to do is make them stronger, or if there are some legislatures and certainly some citizens who are willing to help us out, particularly on the lawfare side, where we can either change or strengthen the policies and the laws when it comes to child trafficking or when it comes to pedophiles. One of the great things about our team, and I think you're showing some of them right there. People that are on our advisory board, especially our advisors. I mean, we have not only women, particularly women who lived in the world of being trafficked, who are just incredibly strong, as well as some real pros in the world of basically going after and rescuing children. We also have people who are directly engaged with law enforcement professionals, principally, local law enforcement and particularly sheriffs, deputy sheriffs. I attended our last session here in Florida where we had three deputies out of a sheriff's department. And frankly, the sheriff's department is not all they're not totally in support. They weren't, the leadership at the top is not totally in support, but they know that they have to do more. So they sent three of their deputies, which is really good. We have had people out of the state's attorneys general's office. We are looking to get more of the legal side, the law enforcement and the prosecutor side attending this training, or at least attending the first couple of days. So when we come up there on the 8th of December, which is, I believe, is a Friday, I'm actually going to be maybe rolling in there just as quick as I can. I have another event that day in another state that I've got plans to be there right around 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I'll be there for the evening, for that first evening, to get this thing kicked off. We need as many people as possible. I think what you'll find is once you go through the training, one of our goals is to take and train people, and then get folks at the local level, as you guys have heard me say, or if you haven't, I believe in this phrase, local action has a national impact. We get people trained at the local level. You can then take that and you can expand that and exploit that in other parts of the state there, particularly in Michigan. And I know this is really focused on Michigan for this particular trip, but I know there'll be people from other parts of the region up there, like we always have. We always get people from other states roll in, and we welcome that because we want people from Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio, and some of the other areas up there to also be paying attention, because eventually we're gonna be setting up in those states as well. We are not going to stop until until we get to a place where we just feel like we have put a dent into this problem,
Right.
particularly of child trafficking. So that's our goal with America's Future. I know Mary laid out a whole bunch of things that we're involved in, and it's types of things that she's got going on. We have a superb team. We are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are going to go to all 50 states. That's our ultimate goal, and we'll get there. We'll get there over time. We do ask for the people that we engage to take some responsibility and help us out, because we're a nonprofit, so we do go out, and I go out and I solicit fundraising all the time to try to get people to help us. But I will tell you, it'll be very blunt, that on the conservative side, we don't have what the Democrats, we don't have what the left has, right? We don't have those deep pocket communists that are funding everything from stealing our elections to basically running these human trafficking networks. And I mean it, and I mean that. So we do things based on fundraising, and we also ask people where we are going to go to help out a little bit, to help us organize, get the locations, and just volunteer stuff that that we need to have in order to be able to run an effective training program. The people that we have coming in are absolute professionals. They are some of the best in the business. The organizations, the very few organizations that we work with, we vet them. We vet them very thoroughly and very professionally to make sure they're the right organizations, because as I've learned, and as our team knows, there are predatory organizations out there that prey on children. Some of them are religious organizations. Some of them are non-governmental organizations. Some of them are the United States government themselves, as we have learned from some of the whistleblowers that we have, and a couple of them who are working directly with our organization. So you'll hear from some of these people directly. They will be there, live and in person, and like myself and others who are directly working or directly affected or directly going after some of these organizations, to include organizations in the government that are governmental organizations, all the way down to various charities, and I use that term loosely. Some of these charities that are directly involved in child trafficking, child sale of body parts, the slave labor market. And for everybody, trafficking has now surpassed drug trafficking. So human trafficking has now surpassed drug trafficking this past year in the United States of America as the leading crime, basically, in America. And my guess is that it's probably the number one crime globally, because it's almost $1 trillion market. And the one thing you'll hear me say, and I'll say it now, that I argue with my sister Mary. We argue about a lot of things, but because we love each other. But I always say that there's really two types of problems: manageable and solvable problems. Some problems I would love to think, like this one, is a solvable problem, but I just think it's such a big, vast, incredible level. I mean, just the levels that we're dealing with. So what I like to focus on personally is I like to focus on finding and saving one child, one person, because that might be the one, right? And you don't know what that means, but to me, that might be the person later on in life that they do something so giant, so big for frankly, for millions and millions, maybe tens of millions of others. So we have to do everything we can to save one. And when we save one, then we can save others. That one can save others. So we go out there.
General, that's the perfect segue to a two-part question, because we want to help you. That's the only reason we're here. So my two-part question is, if, like, I'm in Ohio, I will come to Detroit, will I be able to take things I can bring back to Ohio to another state, and we can start getting ahead of what it is until you eventually make it around all 50 states? Will we be able to come back with action tools we can start implementing in our own state? So please answer that.
Yeah, you'll be able to go back with actual documentation. You'll be able to go back with some training plans. You'll be able to go back with sort of a, you know, a tentative schedule of events and the types of people that we will bring to Ohio in your case, and we will also you know, we will also give you some idea about what resources we need to have, right? We need to have a venue. We need to have a place to do it, right? I mean, we need to have some number of volunteers, not many, but people who are willing to step up and help, because that saves us costs. It saves cost on your end. I can tell you in Ohio, we have a great host already. We've, you know, some of these states we do find, you know, through either Mary's network or my network, we find people who are benevolent people who are willing to cough up some of the financial resources to help us out. And I know that we've done that in Ohio. We've done that in Michigan too, to a degree. But I want people to feel, you know, like if you get something for nothing, you don't appreciate it. You know, you just don't. So I want people to participate in this and put their own skin in the game. And it ain't much. You know, it's like buying a ticket to a football game or buying a ticket to a concert. I mean, I want people to put skin in the game here. I mean, think about it. There right now, as we've been speaking for the last, since Mary started, probably 45 minutes ago, I've been talking for almost 15 minutes. I mean, we've had probably another 1 or 2 children be killed, murdered, who was a product of child trafficking. And then we've had some number, you know, of rapes. Multiply that probably by 3 or 5 just in the last 45 minutes. And I'm probably lowballing that. So, I mean,
General Flynn, something has shifted. Something has shifted in the last year. Maybe it's because of your book or your message about getting active local, but your army of digital soldiers, we were no longer interested in being just keyboard warriors. Now we're all looking for what can we go do? We're looking for the leadership. We're looking for the specific steps of what we can all do, either locally or in teams, to go make a difference. So we're just waiting. So for those who can't go to Detroit, will there be things online where they can join your 2-day symposium? And will there be instructions and things that they can do locally to make a difference?
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great. One of the things too that we need to be, and we are doing, is to do some live streaming of the training. Some of it though, you have to, you know, so there is some training that can be received online, and that's another resource. But also, you know, some of it you just have to be there because you have to be able to experience, you know, what it is that from the horse's mouth, so to speak, what it is that we are doing and what we're involved in. And it's like, you know, the 12 apostles, right? Or digital soldiers. You know, you're going to learn something and we need you to take it out to the masses. We need you to take it out and kind of be like apostles of the truth here, right? And get the truth out about what is happening and where they can get additional resources. Our website at americasfuture.org is a really, americasfuture.net is a really good resource to get additional things. I mean, there's so much, and I don't know the specific place where we're going to do it in Ohio yet. I should know that, but there are, you know, we are getting the word out on these things, and that's why, you know, inside of Michigan, please get the word out, and we'll get the right size venue to be able to get as many people in there as possible. When we had the initial training session down in Sarasota, we ended up with about 600 or 700 people that showed up. We were only expecting maybe 100, 150. We had 600, I think 650 that showed up. And we had no problems training that many. Then we just had another follow-up to that. So I think once we get going, Scott, once we get moving and people begin to see that there is something available, I mean, there's plenty of other things to get involved in, plenty of other things.
Well, General Flynn, thanks to your...
This is one of the ways that I want people to get involved in, though, because people always ask me, Scott, and I'll shut up here in a second. I'm sorry. People always ask me, what do I do? What do I do? Right. And I tell them, look, you can go volunteer to be a poll watcher, you know, but you better be starting like 45 days out. Don't wait until the election day to start watching the polls. Get out there and watch the damn watch these ballot boxes get stuffed, put a camera 24 hours a day on it. But when it comes to children, one of the things that we are definitely training on, and I've been through some of this and sat down with some of these people, my spidey senses have gone way up now with some of the training that I've received. And I've always been a very situationally aware person. But when I travel through airports, or when I'm traveling, or if I'm just out and about, walking the street sometimes, even in really nice areas, right? Like, nice area being some mall or something where there's, some stores and shops, right? Especially as the holidays are coming around. So anyway, those are just some things that we talk about.
Well, General, the floor is yours. I'm speaking on behalf of my little platoon of digital soldiers, and we've been in this for 6 years, sir. And having been active duty for 4 years, I will tell you, I've put more hours into this, because what we're living through right now is the war of
Yeah,
good.
this is it. This is it. So let me just, yeah, no, this is it. And for anybody listening to this thing, this is it. We've got whatever 353 days or something like that till we have or don't have an election. Who knows, right? I mean, I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner tomorrow night, right? Never mind worrying about whether we're going to have an election in November of 2024, or whether we're going to have a fair one. I mean, we all have to do what we can do with what we have, right? I mean, I've been blessed to have a great platform, and a lot of you people have given
Excuse me 1 second. Somebody needs to mute themselves, and I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you hard.
Somebody's got a hot mic.
Awaken Outlaw, you got to mute yourself, bro. Thank you. Sorry about that, General.
That's okay. I'm a big fan. I'm a digital soldier, right? I'm a citizen journalist. We all are. And we have to get out there, and we have to move information, and we have to raise the level of truth when we talk about information awareness. That's our responsibility from our own homes these days, right? I mean, I'm also a student of psychological warfare, and I'm a student of information warfare, and it is a very real thing. We are in the middle of one of probably the greatest psychological operations that we have ever been, that humanity's ever been a part of. COVID was the kickoff for it. Okay. COVID was the kickoff for it. No doubt. COVID, God, the more I've learned about COVID, these guys have been thinking about this for well over a decade before it even hit. So that's just one aspect of what it is to immediately gain control, not just of, some city in the United States, but the entirety of humanity. And they did. And so now they do another level. So, in this component of warfare that we are involved in, this is really the spiritual side. This is the evil side when we talk about child trafficking, right?
Yep.
And because human trafficking has been going on, since the advent of time. So we've got it's called the slave trade, right? I mean, now we're really talking about a day and age when the sophistication of humanity, so to speak, right? We're supposed to be sophisticated. We're supposed to be smarter. We're supposed to know more. And yet we have these psychopaths, these sickos who take children and take them and abuse them. And that can't happen. So that's why we really get into this, because frankly, this is not a left, right, Democrat, Republican issue. This is an issue for all of us, because, maybe not everybody has children, but somebody's got nieces and nephews. But most people, in my category, have children or grandchildren. And so we can all get behind this. This is something that we can get behind, that we can come together on. I ain't trying to, sit around and sing Kumbaya. I'm the worst Kumbaya singer that exists. But I will tell you that we are in a fight for the very life of the United States of America. And if we don't decide what we can do and get involved and do it, whether it's this, or whether it's something that deals with electioneering, or whether it's something that deals with running for office or getting involved at the local level, don't try to just bitch about, what's going on in Washington, D.C. There are a bunch of crooks. There's probably, I mean, I think that there's like maybe this many, maybe this many. If all you can see my fingers, two that I trust that are members of the 535 in Congress. And I know most of them, so I can only maybe trust two because I know them. I know the type of people that they are. The rest of them are just, conniving, scheming, feckless, white wine swilling, establishment rhinos or worse, right? So,
Right.
but there are a couple, and those couple I deal with on a weekly basis to try to get them to try to help them raise their voices. And we just have to pray too. I mean, praying is a big part. It's a powerful part of who we are. Believe or not, trust me, there's no atheist in a foxhole. So there just aren't. People, when the shit hits the fan and you're the last one standing, you're going to say one final prayer before you attack into the dark and to try to defeat whatever evil's out there, because there's a lot of it.
Well, sir, I can't thank you enough for popping in. And I promised that nobody would ask you a question, but there's a young lady I can't find in the room. Her name is Jessie Wright, and she's dying to ask you or say something to you. And I just don't want you to think that we're overstepping our boundaries. I can't find her in
No,
the.
I mean, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm trying like crazy to find her. And in the meantime, someone in our group just said, for the other people in the group, which would be so easy for us, if we could just raise $5,000, he'll match it with $10,000. Where do you want that money to go for your cause? Tell us where we can all send some money that would make the most difference for you and where you're going.
Go to americasfuture.net, and hopefully Mary put that out too, and just designate it, right? Americasfuture.net. You can go right on the homepage there and do a donation. All that money goes back into, we basically turn it right back into this program. Yeah, okay. There's some. My best advice is that, like I constantly say, that people have got to get involved in their communities. Let me give you an example, okay, folks. This past election, whatever it was, 3 weeks ago now on a Tuesday, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. There was 11 states that had elections. Okay, and let me walk you through just briefly. I'll only talk about one state, but I'm paying very close attention to all of our elections because they're as crooked as just crooked. Our election system is just broken. Nobody has any trust in it. But in the state of Kentucky, okay, I don't know if there's anybody on this from the state of Kentucky, but the state of Kentucky was a state where I was watching to see what the outcome of the governor's race was going to be, because you got generally a very red state in Kentucky. You got the Senate minority leader, McConnell, who I just think he's a loser, but he's there. And then you got Rand Paul, who generally is a decent guy, but and neither of those are either of the one or two that I said earlier that I could trust, right? So, but Kentucky's a generally red state. Well, the voter turnout, and this is across all 11 states, but the voter turnout in Kentucky, in the state of Kentucky, was 38% voter turnout. 38. That is so piss poor. That is not that does not meet any standard that I would ever accept in the military. 38%. That's a failing. That's even worse than a failing grade. 38%. But in the two cities that mattered, because the outcome of the governor's race was for a Democrat, so that now the governor of Kentucky is a Democrat, and he's a hardcore lefty. He's a hardcore communist. And so 2 days before the election, the Republican had these poll numbers that were huge. They were like 17, 18, 20 points ahead only 2 days prior to the election. But in the two cities that mattered, okay, Louisville and Lexington, So I'm taking you guys down this rabbit hole because you need to understand this, okay? The two cities that mattered were Louisville and Lexington. And the voter turnout in both of those cities for the Democrats was over 70%. The Democrats turned people out in Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, to the tune of 71 and 72% respectively in those two cities. And the Republicans only had turnout of like 35, 36%. I don't care how broken our machines are, how broken mail-in ballots are. If people don't show up to vote, I have no time for them. And that's my new thing now, kind of, right? When people come up to me and they start bitching about, this outcome or that election, I first say to them, did you vote? Okay, did you vote? Because I do believe that our our election systems and processes are totally unfair. They're totally broken. I'm not an election denier. I just deny that our elections are fair. So there, okay? But in 2020, the presidential election in 2020, the voter turnout was only 69%. That means that almost 40, I'm sorry, I'm not a math major, almost 31 or 30, let's just say 30%, 30% of people that could vote and were registered to vote did not turn out to vote in 2020. Now, did I think that 2020 was rigged? You bet. Is there tons of evidence to show that? Yep, and it comes out every day. Even some stuff came out in the last 48 hours, right the day before Thanksgiving. More stuff actually came out today in Arizona. But my point is still the same. You can't play in the game unless you get into the game, right? You can't sit on the sidelines. You can't sit in the bleachers. You can't sit out there and in the parking lot unless you get out and participate. This is what being a citizen of these United States means. It means to participate. So when you're in there in your neighborhoods and walking around your streets, or you're canvassing, or maybe you find a person running for school board that you like, right? I mean, I generally like people that I meet. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go break my back for them unless they really strike me as somebody who is like ready to go to war with me, right? And I think that that's what we've got to do. So, I mean, I know where you're going. That's not where we want to be. That's not where we want to be. Does the left and these communists want us to get there? You bet they do. They would love to have civil strife on the streets of America. You look at the bullshit we're going through right now with all of the pro-Palestinian protests. How did we get from 9/11, where we spent, 12, 15 trillion dollars over in the Middle East? We lost almost 6,000 killed in action. We have over 50,000 seriously wounded in action in two wars, right? Afghanistan and Iraq. After 9/11, we were going over there capturing and killing every radical Islamist, and trust me, I was right there doing it, and had no problems doing it because they were our enemy. They were the ones that were doing the damage that they did to our country. And now here we are, literally slightly less than a generation later, and we have kids on the street now telling us that bin Laden was right, that we have, having people tell us that, it's okay to commit genocide against Jews in this country. I say to myself, how the hell do we ever get to this place? How did the United States of America get here? And the answer to that is we've been lazy, we've been complacent, and we've been bitching and griping and moaning and complaining about everything instead of getting involved. I have never, as you said, Scott, and as many on this thing, and I'll get off my dime here, I have never worked my rear end off as much as I have in the last couple of years. I work my tail off in the military. I work very, very hard to achieve my missions, to do the things that I needed to do. But my biggest task right now is to get this country and to get people in this country to realize that this is not, another election, another historic election like we always say they all are. This is the election that will decide whether our country is going to be the United States of America or the United Socialist States of America. That's where we're headed, folks. And that's why we're doing what we can and this is one of my efforts, okay? This is one of my major lines of operation for those that understand military terminology. This is one of my major lines of operation with America's future, and what I'm getting involved in with going after those who will do evil to our children. I have no time for them. I am okay with the death penalty or worse when it comes for anybody that abuses a child. So
Yeah,
thanks, everybody.
General, I'm going to give you whoever's talking. No, you will not talk. General, I just want to give you the last word, and I want you to know one thing. Your message of local action and your books are making a difference. Your your Army of Digital Soldiers went through boot camp for 6 years. Now we're looking for AIT. And so there's somebody on the call, my friend Monty. He ran and won in a landslide. He's now our local councilman. So he's going to go in and he's going to hold our entire town council responsible. We helped get another guy from our gym elected to the school board. He flipped the entire school board conservative.
So, and I think that's right. Well, let me just stop because I got to get going here. Okay. Lizzie, I just saw a quick note there from Lizzie, I think, where she said anger is not going to solve anything. I think that's kind of the gist of what Lizzie said. She's right. I mean, I am a very emotional person when it comes to children. Okay. But I do think that we cannot allow our emotions to get in the way of smart, strategic thinking and working together in a way that we have not ever done in our lives, folks. Okay. We're not forming up as an army, as real soldiers joining an army and going overseas, fighting some enemy, right? We are now trying to figure out how in our own communities we can save our own country, and we can do this one town, one group of people at a time. I mean, if you think about our founders, and because everybody always goes right to the founding fathers and goes, oh, the revolution, all this. No, our founders, a lot of the people, there was roughly almost 1 million people that were involved in the revolutionary, in what George Washington called the cause. There was only really a couple of 100,000 that actually were part of the militia, but they didn't know each other. People didn't know each other at that time. There was no internet. There was no phones. There was barely any papers. There was town criers. There was guys on horses that would have to go get the messages out there. So people just realized in their own communities, hey, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. So I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to do what I can. And I'm going to demand that we're not going to pay higher taxes. We're not going to do the following things. Now that went on for over 2 decades. Most people don't, because they haven't studied our history. That went on for a long time, and while they were doing it, please go read the Declaration of Independence. And most people stop after they read Life, Liberty, and Independence. Go and read the rest of it. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes to read the Declaration of Independence. In the Declaration, that Thomas Jefferson actually wrote, the second half of it is really about the tyranny of the king. Well, now we have the tyranny of the federal government. And what we do have to do is we have to tell our locally elected officials either do their jobs or they're out, or we have to go. So I'm so glad that somebody's running, to get in there. I mean, I don't know what my next stage of life is going to be. I do believe that if we have an election that we can all get behind and we can all get out and vote, we will win in giant landslides. There's no doubt in my mind. But we can't have 65 or 68% turnout. We got to have like 95% turnout. Right. Trust me. If we have that, we will overwhelm any of these crooks. We will overwhelm any of the theft. Because even in 2016, we know that there was theft. We know it because why? Why do we know it? Because the Hillary Clinton came to the Trump campaign 3 days after the election and said, hey, we want to audit 3 of the states. And you know what Donald Trump said? He said, be my guest. He didn't bitch and go and start attacking with lawfare and all the crap that we found out after 2020. He said, be my guest. And what happened? We found out that he got 2 million more votes after they did their little audit, right? So this is not about outcomes of elections right now in terms of whether or not something's fair. It is not a fair system. It's not a fair. It's rigged. It's rigged, and it's not rigged in our favor. That's why we cannot sit and just bitch about it. We got to get out and do something about it. And that's how you get involved. So, like we have election supervisors. We got an election supervisor here in this county. I don't trust that election supervisor. I don't. I know him. I got to know him. He's also, he at times, he's the acting state election supervisor. I mean, we want to put pressure on these people and tell them, look, and do it however you want. Do it online, write op-eds, go to rally, have rallies. I mean, why is it, and I got to finish with this. Why is it that these pro-Palestinian protesters show up in droves with bullhorns and signs? Where are we? Where are the pro-Americans? Screw the Palestinians. Where's just the people that are out there with pro-America, and with our own bullhorns and our own, yelling at the tops of our lungs about, save America, right? God bless America. I mean, where are we? We're not anywhere to be found. We're sitting home and we're going, oh my God, these Palestinians, look what they're doing. Yeah, they're tearing the U.S. flag down on Veterans Day. They're burning, they're kicking in police doors. I mean, wow. How did this country ever get here? We got here because we have been complacent and we have been lazy. And I may not be talking to, I'm just using generalities here, folks, right? So I've given you a lot of time here. I just want you to know that I so appreciate everybody. I really, really do. I don't always agree with everybody, and I don't want you to agree with me. And frankly, I want you to, come after me when you think I need to smack me across the head to say, hey, Flynn, you got this wrong. And because I will always be, I'm not like an old dog that can't learn new tricks, right? I'm a lifelong learner. And if there's one thing that I have learned about myself, it's that, I try not to make the same mistake. I will make new mistakes, right? Because if you're not making mistakes, Christ, what are you doing? Nothing, Make some mistakes out there, but don't make some old same stupid mistake. Go out there and do new things, try new things, and do it in a righteous, positive way that you're, like we would always say, would your mom be proud of it, right? Well, I think my mom would be proud of what I'm doing.
As we all are, sir. Thank you.
General Flynn, can I interject something here? I would like to just bring up again that everybody that's out there needs to go to that human trafficking summit, Get in the Fight in Michigan, December 8 and 9, because this is a great place to focus your attention to do something. And it's something that we can all unite behind, getting behind saving these children, and even one child. There's been so much work put into this, and I'm so thankful. We're all thankful. And everybody out there, get in the fight and join General Flynn on December 8th and 9th in Michigan.
Absolutely. Thank you, Donna. Thanks, Scott. I got to go, guys. Peace.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Godspeed.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Donna, for making that happen.
Thank you very much. Oh, wait, I gotta stop recording. 1 second.
Oh.